Hey everyone, and welcome to the Above the Yellow Line live stream. We are back on a Thursday night. I know last week we did a Wednesday because we were all at the Coca-Cola 600, got the group together in person, but now we're back live from our humble abodes to give you some NASCAR content. So thanks for joining us. I'm joined, of course, by Dom Joseph and Adam Lucas, the ATYL crew. Are we well rested at this point from our weekend, or are we still tired? I'm a little tired still. I'm not going to lie to you.
I'm still recovering.
Yeah, no, it was a big weekend.
I'm still up there in the stratosphere coming down from our high this weekend.
Yeah.
Lots of fun, lots of laughs, lots of love, lots of racing, but not as much as we wanted.
Yeah, not as much as we wanted, but it was overall like a really good dopamine boost this weekend, just seeing everybody, and it was overall a really good time. But yeah, good to see everyone in the chat. Yeah, I kind of called it was gonna be a big NASCAR news week, and it's still not over yet. We still have tomorrow, Friday. I do have to say I apologize for me bringing weather to the track. I won't say it's my fault. I do kind of blame Sawyer a little bit. Every race he's gone to ever in his life, there's been rain. And I've been clean for some of the races. Like some of the races have been sunny and nice. So, but yeah, I guess blame myself. It's fine. It's all good. Adam, good to see you in the chat. And awesome. Thanks for you from joining from Discord. That's cool. Yeah, we have all of our social media platforms pretty much represented in this chat, which is pretty cool. Let's start off by telling you guys the rundown of the show. Of course, we're going to talk about the greatest weekend in motorsports, talking about F1, Indy, NASCAR. There are some pretty hot topics that we're all going to discuss, of course, in this show. And also some news updates, some big news from big organizations, as well as some small news pieces that are still fun because, we need to balance the negativity with the positivity here. And then, of course, we will go to Dom's projected top 10, previewing Gateway. But let's start off with Dom. I'll throw this to you, Monaco. A pretty big win for you, right?
Yeah, I mean, we'll put the business part first. It's the whole top 10 never changed positions the entire Grand Prix, which is kind of crappy, but it's Monaco.
It is. Oh,
so that's to be expected for that race. It's a shame. It really is, because that is their crown jewel race. And if you win pole position, you're 95% guaranteed to win the race. That's kind of a shame. It shouldn't be like that, but that's also, you could argue that for a lot of the other tracks in F1. That's just the way that sport works. But yes, huge win for Ferrari. This is their first win there since 2017, and before that, their last win was 2001. So Monaco has been scarce for them lately, but this is the home country boy, Charles Leclerc from Monaco, got the win, and it's been 4 years coming for it. His first year he wrecked out. His second year he wrecked out. They didn't race it in 2020. 2021 he wrecked on his second pole lap, already had pole position, and coming to the grid for the start of the race, the car broke, so couldn't even race from pole position. And then 2022, they choked the race, and last year, I don't even think they were contenders. So it's a shame that it took all that to get the win, but yeah, it was awesome to see how much it meant to him. And I mean, it's a Ferrari Monaco win. What more can you ask for?
That was a pretty special moment. I'm trying to find the photo, but Rob took really good photos of you celebrating the victory. I know, Adam, I think they're on your social media.
I think so. Well, here's the glamour shot.
Oh, yeah.
A little clearer.
Maybe not. Hold on a second. I got you.
Yeah, it's a little bright, but you can kind of see them.
Here.
No, the photos were so good.
There we
go. That's my favorite shot.
Yeah.
That was so good. So good.
Very happy. It was a very, very good start to the day. At that point, I was like, I could care less what happens from here.
I was just happy to throw some sun drop on you that day. That was fun to see you celebrate.
Yeah, we didn't have champagne, but we had sun drop, which in our opinion is probably equal. We love sun drop. It's good. Just as good. So that, of course, was Monaco, the Indy 500. Joseph Newgarden goes back to back. We didn't get to watch the Indy 500 because we were at the track already, but hearing the news and how things were going from the track was insane. I am gutted for Pato O'Ward, though. Man, I mean, he was a corner away from making it happen, but Joseph Newgarden, I mean, just is too good at this track. But congrats to him, the Penske organization, a statement win in a year filled with controversy for Penske. but just incredible that he was able to do it back-to-back, first time since the early 2000s. So, hey, I agree. Love to see you in the chat, by the way. Joseph Newgarden, the GOAT. Our GOAT.
I think he put it perfectly in his Pat McAfee show interview. He said the analogy he made was Pato passed him at the finish line with 1 lap to go. That's giving Patrick Mahomes the ball back with a minute left in the game. You gave me too much time.
Yep.
Too early.
So, should have waited to turn 3 on the last lap. Would have at least had a fighting shot coming to the start-finish line.
I mean, it was a learning experience for him at that point. I mean, you can't make a move that early. We've seen it happen in Indy 500's past as well. So,
I remember too in 2021 he tried to pass Ericsson going into turn 1 and bailed, and people wondered why he did that. And he tried to get the run, but never got that run going into turn 3. So maybe he thought about that.
Yeah, I don't know.
A lot of stuff goes through your head at 220 miles an hour.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, they really are split-second decisions, and if you don't take one opportunity, it's gone, right? Or if you take one opportunity and it's not the right one, you wreck out. So, I mean, I think Pato will win it at some point. It's just a shame, that he wasn't able to get it done. But I am very happy for Joseph, and really exciting times. Of course, though, the race was postponed by a few hours due to severe weather, which then in turn impacted one very specific NASCAR driver that was attempting the double, Kyle Larson. Let's talk about, first off, the point standings. Before we get into this whole waiver debate, I put out an entire video on it today. So if you all saw it, you already know my opinions, and we'll talk about it very lightly. And I know a lot of you want to share your opinion in the comments below as well. But let's look at the point standings after Charlotte. Let me change the screen here. So all of y'all lost ground just a little bit.
Who won?
I'm still in the lead somehow. I did somehow because Reddick had a good comeback. So I won this race. Adam second, Ben was third, and Dom, you were last place. Who was your pick again?
Denny.
Do we know? Yeah. Well, he didn't.
Dom actually had his best finish of the season.
Oh my God! Really?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
He's climbing back. He's climbing back. Me and Ben, we're still stabbing each other. We keep swapping back and forth, it seems like.
That's okay. Hey, you guys are pretty close together though. Like, it's fine. You'll be good. It's okay. At some point, I am going to totally drop the ball and just not do well. Like, it's bound to happen. It's just, so far I'm doing okay. So it's, girl power. We love that. Heck yeah. Hoping this lasts for a long time. But besides our ATYL standings, which again, isn't it crazy to think that the regular season is like halfway through? Isn't that kind of disgusting how fast the season's gone?
Crazy.
Like, oh my God.
It's like a fever dream. I feel like we were in Daytona yesterday.
It really does feel like that, which is scary. I don't know. Craziness. But the driver points, by the way, which I didn't update the driver's points, but all you should know is because Kyle Larson did not get points for the race, he fell back in the driver's points just a little bit. But I will make sure in the newsletter we have the driver's points updated, and I'll post them on social media afterwards. But talking about motorsports news, the big takeaway from this weekend, one was the call to end the race early. 2 is the Larson waiver. 3, we have an Austin Hill penalty. And 4, Corey Heim disqualified. That's a lot to come out of this weekend, you guys. That is so much. Let's start with the decision to end the race early. Let's start off with that. We were at the track. We saw the track conditions. We were there for all of it. We also heard the announcement over the PA system. I'm just going to call it that said, hey, it's okay for you guys to go back to your seats. And then the race was just called, maybe less than 10 minutes later. What do you guys think? Do you think NASCAR made the right decision? Do you think maybe not? What should have happened from our perspective? We aren't the decision makers, but what would we have liked to have seen happen?
Being a crown jewel event in NASCAR means you need to do everything humanly possible to try to get that race finished. Even if it's past halfway, you have got to give it every effort.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they gave up. Yeah, I feel like they gave up.
Yeah.
Apparently, drivers were all getting ready to go back to the cars, and everything shut down. And then 10 minutes later, it's over. So it left a very sour taste in my mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of abrupt too.
It was very abrupt.
It was one of those because they were working on the track and we were already like convinced they were going to restart this race. But then I think it was because green flag was continuously getting pushed back.
Yeah.
They didn't want to keep pushing back any further, and they must have hit a deadline number. And when they thought they couldn't get to that number, they must have called it there. That's my feelings of it. It sucks that it happened the way it did. I don't think the broadcast had anything to do with it because
there's a lot of comments about that.
Fox knew it was going late, and they had nothing after that. I mean, the only thing they're competing with is late local news, but even that, it's like they can go past that. I don't think TV had anything to do with it, but yeah, it kind of was a shame, but I mean, what can you do? I mean, Christopher Bell already had the dominant car.
He did, for sure.
He was the convincing best car in the field, and he was in the lead. If he wasn't the leader and they called the race, I would have been even more upset. But because he had the best car, I can live with it.
Yeah, we were talking about, at least Sawyer and I were talking about how if there were maybe 15 more laps, maybe Brad Keselowski could have made a pass for the lead, maybe, because like he had a more long run car than I think Christopher Bell did, but ultimately Bell's car was way better. I mean, I don't even think it would have mattered.
Brad tried multiple times to get around and could. So, I mean, he had his chance.
Yeah. I mean, because he lost a lot of time. I was either turns 3 or 4 or turns 1 and 2 where he just took a really high line and it did not work out for him.
Yeah, he would get right to his
so much time
in 1 and 2, and he would try to run the wall, and Bell knew that. So I think mainly Bell took his line away in 3 and 4, and 3 and 4 is just such a more sensitive corner anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, Bell played it perfectly.
Less grip.
Yeah, but I think I would agree with Adam that it seemed like though we would think in as far as we've been told every effort possible was made to make sure the race could continue, but because it is a crown jewel race that people pay a lot of money to go to these events, guys. They do, and it's a crown jewel event. It's the longest event in NASCAR's schedule. It is an event that honors veterans, past, present, future, and honors those who made the ultimate sacrifice. You want to make sure you get this race in for those people and the guests at the track. Their families are at the track, right? So to end it abruptly, to me, left a sour taste in my mouth. I was pretty upset. Denny Hamlin said on Actions Detrimental that they could have gone back racing at 12:15. The track was dry at that point. I remember reading in the post-race comments by Christopher Bell, like Joe Gibb and Christopher Bell's crew chief, that they were like, we were very confused by the call. Joe Gibbs was like, I had my jacket on, ready to go. And then when it was called, it was very abrupt. So I wanted to agree with the call. The other part of this too is the Larson waiver. He was on his way back to Indy. On his way back to Charlotte after completing the Indy 500. They made the conscious decision to stay in Indy and then go to the 600. And then unfortunately wasn't able to get in the car because weather. First off, everyone noted this in the comments, and I want to give a shout out to Justin Allgaier. He did a fantastic job in the 5, finished 13th with everything he had to do in the position he started this race, and I think that was fantastic. So really good job to him in the 5 car, a great opportunity for him. But with Kyle Larson, I've say to my opinions until I'm blue in the face about this whole situation. So I want to hear from you two. What do you think about the Larson waiver? We haven't heard anything yet from NASCAR and their decision. Do you think he should get a waiver or do you think he should not get a waiver?
Want me to go first on this one?
You go for it.
I mean, as a NASCAR fan and just someone that wants to see the best for the sport, you can't not have Kyle Larson a playoff contender in NASCAR. That is way too big a risk to just let him not be in. But on the business side of it, I mean, are we going to be concrete on our rule about waivers and the rule of what qualifies you to be a championship contender in NASCAR? He had the choice to come back to Charlotte and forego the 500 and run the entire 600 on time, and he chose Indy. He chose a competing motorsport organization over the one he's racing a championship in. The business side of that says loud and clear he doesn't get the waiver. But the other business side is if you keep him out of the championship, that is a massive, massive fan base that's just like, all right, well, you can have my tickets back. I'm not coming to the race.
Yeah. It's a back and forth decision. It's tough.
This is a very dangerous and murky water we are in.
Yes.
Yeah. Adam, what are your thoughts?
Absolutely, he needs to get the waiver. I mean, guys have gotten waivers for smaller things. He went and represented NASCAR at Indy. He ran Indy and had a plan in place to get back in time. Mother Nature threw a wrench into it, and obviously you can't control that. But the amount of coverage, just from my standpoint, I watched more practice from Indy than I've ever in my life. Like every day I was checking Peacock to see, okay, how's Larson doing today? Okay, he's running 10th. All right, good. So just to see the impact and the interest from our fan base to their fan base, and then the carryover from, I'm sure there would have been plenty of IndyCar fans that had watched the 500 to see, oh, okay, let's see how this Larson guy does. So I think it was a good attempt at a joint effort in that, yes, he should absolutely get a waiver because he's kind of like our ambassador. He's our ambassador of the sport.
Yeah, I think someone had a great comment too, is like, people who have gotten suspended from races have gotten waivers.
That was Dewey. So, Dewey made a great comment there.
That's some of those suspensions were for nothing that went on at the racetrack.
Exactly.
That's a very good point to to further emphasize why Larson should get a waiver. And I'm not here to say he shouldn't. I'm just looking at it from both ends. Like I'm just saying, like, in retrospect, if he doesn't, I can understand why. But I personally want him to get the waiver, because if he doesn't, that's going to ruin the season. Yeah.
I'm with you as well. I see both sides as to why he should, why he shouldn't. I think he should, but I also think NASCAR has to be very careful with why they want him to get the waiver. Because if they say it's because he brought good press to the sport, he's a very talented driver, he's really good for the sport, that to me is saying you're getting a waiver because of privilege. And I don't think that should be a factor when giving out waivers in anything. I mean, the suspension thing is already weird enough that, hey, you partake in actions that are detrimental to the sport, you junk a guy, but here, let me give you a waiver. It's like a slap on the wrist and you're good to go in the long run. But I also think, if anything, the unforeseen circumstance that Larson was in that made this all wonky to begin with was weather. There was so much time and effort put into planning this to the T that Larson would have been able to do both if weather wasn't impacted. And so I think NASCAR, that should be their main reasoning as to why he gets the waiver. But also, yes, he promoted the sport very well. There was great crossover. I don't envy NASCAR in this at all. I'm glad I'm not making this decision, because this sucks. It really does. It's not fun.
I can be devil's advocate again and say, so you had over a year to plan for this, and not once did you think, if it rains, we're still not going to Charlotte?
That's the other thing too, is it's the actively choosing to not start a points-paying race, knowing that is the NASCAR rule.
They did have Tony Kanaan on standby.
They did.
They
had a driver waiting for that.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
They had someone waiting for the IndyCar.
God, that is so tough, because it sets a precedent. Whatever NASCAR decides sets a precedent moving forward for what other drivers can and can't do. Somebody else made a comment that whatever they decide could impact drivers' ability to do the 600, do the Indy 500, do the double in the future. And we don't want to stop people from doing that at all.
No. Especially if Penske can really cook.
Yeah, if they can.
There's a reason why Roger Penske refuses his drivers running the double. Because you have one job to focus on. It's the car you get paid to drive.
Yeah.
So
let's see. Rob, do you agree? Sorry, I just threw you in here. Hi. Do you agree with our decision?
Here is our senior correspondent, Rob Branning, reporting live.
My thing with this is that if we had a full season point system, this wouldn't matter.
Thank you. Somebody else made that comment too.
And it feels very arbitrary to debate this, but we have to debate it because it is the reality of the sport. And, I personally, I don't see why this is such a big deal. We have given drivers waivers for so many reasons. I don't get why this is so contested.
I think because they just haven't said anything yet. They've been
because it's a personal decision.
Yeah.
Maybe like every other thing has been due to injury, although you could argue that it is a personal decision to right rear somebody. So
gonna move fast.
I mean, I don't know. He should get the waiver, obviously. I don't think that's it just seems like a no-brainer to me. Again, you've
Agreed.
given everybody that's been eligible for it under the sun. There's never been a waiver denied. So it seems
Right.
really weird that this would be the example to set.
Ooh.
Are you gonna say what I
There
was gonna say?
that one time with Grant Infinger when he wasn't entered in the race. He didn't run a race. So that could be a factor that you could also play with this devil's
He wasn't entered.
That's true. But Larson never turned an actual lap.
The thing is, yeah, but he qualified the car. He practiced and qualified the car.
That
He
is
did.
fair too.
Yeah,
that to me displays intention to race.
Yeah.
If we're gonna
That's
look
fair.
if we're gonna look at it at that level, that just qualifying and practicing the car, you are intending to race that car. And I'd say that even with substitute drivers, Kevin Harvick practicing qualifying the 5 at North Wilkesboro, you're intending to drive that car if you need to. So again,
I think if anything, what NASCAR decides, if they need to make a list of acceptable races drivers can miss because they're a big deal and this and that, like put that in the rule book or something like that. I don't know.
Expect the waiver rule to be extremely black and white next year.
Yeah.
which it should be.
They're gonna overhaul the rule.
Yeah. I mean, not to say I'm glad this happened because this sucks for all parties involved, but this is going to set a precedent in a rule moving forward. So none of this just crap happens again where everyone's heated about this decision and it's a gray area decision. Like we're going to have rules and expectations set by NASCAR for next year if something like this happens. But this sucks and I hate it. But I do think Larson should get the waiver. It's just a matter of how NASCAR explains it. And they're going to have to be ready to answer questions and discuss it.
Yeah.
That's just my thing. I feel angry. I'm not angry, I promise. I'm just very heated about this debate, which I guess means I'm angry. It's fine.
It like I said, it just seems like a really pointless debate because they're going to approve it. They're going to
prove it.
Like,
I think people just want it to be like the reasoning should be justified. Like they want to have a solid reason as to why it is approved. People want it to be approved. They just want to know the reason. Because does it impact like past decisions? It's a new decision where a driver actively chose to miss a race. It's new. So
it's a Taylor's piss.
I love this.
Oh man.
Taylor unhinged.
I'm a little unhinged. It's okay. You know what? I've got my Terry Labonte signed hat on. You can't be mad. You can't be mad. So we're gonna do it. Everyone take a deep breath. Oh yeah. Also, speaking of, let's talk about the Austin Hill penalty here. Yeah, so basically junked Cole Custer on the backstretch of Charlotte Motor Speedway and got a penalty for that. Docked 25 driver's points and fined $25,000. He's been in situations like this before where he hasn't gotten fined or there wasn't, the foot didn't drop, the hammer didn't drop, whatever, and now the hammer dropped. So I'm satisfied with the penalty. Everyone was saying, though, okay, well, Kyle Busch intentionally junked Stenhouse during the All-Star race, but Kyle Busch didn't get fined. What's the difference? I don't even know. But Austin Hill got fined, penalized. There's that. Consistently inconsistent.
Why you literally had somebody intentionally wreck somebody at this same track last year, suspended them for a race, and it was the most popular driver. So what is it because it was under caution? Is that the rule? If that's the rule, then Kyle Busch shouldn't have gotten suspended for hook and run Hornaday because that was under caution. That's
facts.
That's
facts.
I don't know if it's intentional. That Austin Hill doesn't get reprimanded for the way he drives and just the way he is. I don't know if it's just that they're not paying attention or whether it's, let me put a tinfoil hat on and say that RC's got money in NASCAR's pocket or something, or they're just scared of him. But it's
just weird.
It's ridiculous to me because the dude drives like a menace, tears up so much of their own equipment. But again, they have the money. Richard Childress doesn't care about, a bent fender. He can pay for it. It's the smaller teams that he junks. Obviously, now that what we know about Stewart-Haas, which I'm sure, I guess Austin Hill didn't know about Stewart-Haas because judging by how he broke the Sheldon Creed news last year, he was probably dying to break the SHR news if he knew it. So yeah, I don't understand why he's not suspended. That is it's a bad look. It just shows immaturity. It shows just lack of self-control, and he's proved this time and time again. And even a suspension does, again, I say this, suspension doesn't do anything. Playoff system, you can miss a race, take a vacation, you're going to get the waiver. So
yeah. And again, it's like the only point of a suspension is you just don't get points for that race, but you get to fight for a championship. It's like, why is
you're not going to,
I don't get
you're not going to win the regular season title, which doesn't mean anything.
Right. So
second place in the regular season standing still earns 10 points.
And I would say too, like, I was like at first happy that the penalty came with a points dock, but then I immediately corrected myself and said the points don't matter.
Yeah.
So
the points don't matter.
He's already got his wins. He's already locked into the playoffs. It doesn't matter.
It's the Xfinity series. The gap between drivers is extraordinary. Is so different.
Yeah. But
again, it's the argument with the playoff system too. The pros and cons. Pros, it produces entertainment value, etc. Cons, it creates inconsistencies, and we're seeing that with these waivers, with the suspension calls. If there's not a suspension with points docks, but even if you dock points, it doesn't matter in the long run. If you win, you're in.
It makes the playoffs feel, or the regular season feel pointless.
Yeah,
I really don't know what you do to remedy that, but it really is, an issue of, what penalties can we actually give these guys?
Yeah. That means something.
Yeah. And I mean, I guess I'm trying to equate it to stick and ball sports. And I guess this also kind of ties in with Larson's waiver. Starting quarterback can miss a game. Team can still make the playoffs.
Yeah.
It's a little bit different. It's a team sport. But I get in a 36 race season or 35, however many Xfinity has, I get not wanting one race to completely ruin your season. Because if you suspend Austin Hill and say he can't make the playoffs, the hell is he racing for at that point?
At this point with Austin Hill, I'm just glad there was a penalty.
Yeah.
At this point, I mean, I get nothing against the guy. He's been in a lot of controversial actions on track that I don't personally agree with. And he hasn't been, he hasn't gotten a penalty over it, or he hasn't been reprimanded in a sense over it. It's been dealt with internally or something like that. NASCAR is now saying, hey, bud, you got to stop. So I like that. Anywho, and by the way, also to Corey Heim, second place finish was disqualified. So all of my picks this weekend, if you guys weren't keeping track, all of my race winning picks this weekend either suffered disqualifications, got wrecked, were penalized in some way. They all sucked. And Justin Allgaier had that race won in my eyes, and then, wrecked. But Chase Elliott won this past weekend in Xfinity. That was actually pretty exciting on a strategy call. That was pretty good. So cool.
Me and Rob got some really good shots of that victory.
Oh, you guys got great shots.
Did. Oh my god, that was cool. It's the second time I've seen Chase win.
First time.
That HendrickCars.com car always looks good in victory lane. It was neat to, be able to be there up close and personal. Thanks to Dom.
Thanks, buddy.
And that race was exciting. That was the most exciting race of the weekend.
Xfinity's always great
for sure. I don't know about you guys, but I always find it hard to, I don't want to say keep track of races when I'm there, but I feel like I'm taking it all in. I also typically have a camera in front of me, so I'm focusing on getting shots and not always the racing, but it was a really good race. I mean, I feel like
it took forever though.
It felt long.
It did.
It definitely that race was eternal.
I couldn't believe
the heat, honestly.
Maybe, but I looked up and I couldn't believe we weren't at halfway yet.
Yeah, that's
Our
where
race
I
was
that's
decent,
where I
too.
was
Oh my
like,
gosh.
oh my god, we're at lap 80.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was just
Taking
like the
forever.
battles for the lead were great. Mayer and Kyle
Yeah.
Busch.
Oh yeah.
I
It
like that
looked
they
like it
couldn't
was
run
going
away
to come.
with it.
Yeah.
It looked like it was going to come down to them, and then
Then it didn't.
Allgaier.
Rip.
I wanted to see that car win so bad because
Me
that car
too.
was gorgeous.
Car was-
That was so sad.
Yeah. Well,
I think I stood up during that race and yelled "Why" at the track. I literally stood up and I was like, "Why?" And Sawyer's like, "Are you good?" I'm like, "I'm mad." I just
Yeah, that happened right in front of you. That's right.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
like right in front of right.
yeah,
in front of
we're
us, so-
patiently awaiting Ben's
Yes, Ben
35
might have
millimeter
gotten
photo because
He
I'm
might have
excited.
Oh, God, I'm
'cause
waiting
I
for
didn't get it. I didn't get. All I saw was just because I was in turn 4. I just saw the smoke.
Yeah, Ben was
I
just
am
trying to get pictures of them coming off the
Yes.
corner, and he was like, "I saw smoke," and my brain
Yep.
was like, "Hey, start taking pictures."
That's how you get it. That's how you get it.
I'm
Let's
so
hope.
excited to see those photos from Ben. Also, shout out to Ben. He can't be on the stream tonight, but we miss him, and it was such a fun weekend with everybody. So, also, I figured we can use this time before we get into some NASCAR news. If y'all want to show and tell what you got from the tents or the track, now is the time. You can pick anywhere from 1 to 3 items if you have them with you. Condense
I'm
storytelling.
wearing something I actually received on my
Oh?
head.
Oh,
This came from Mr. Robert Branning.
hey.
Here,
Part
we'll
of
just
his
go-
part of
we'll
his
go-
goodie box.
We'll go through
yeah.
them. Another goodie box that came from Mr. Branning as well.
That's so cool.
Little classic
Oh, I love
victory.
A nice old K&N. Yeah, that looks good.
Badass.
And let's see. We also have a cup.
Oh, it was a
series.
hat weekend.
Was
It
a hat.
weekend.
Hats go.
It was a hat. It wasn't a hat weekend. I didn't buy a single hat for like the first time at a race. I
I'm
didn't buy a hat.
shocked.
I
This
didn't
one
see any
came.
that I liked.
That's not
Now,
on
this one came
brand.
courtesy of Ben. This one was from Ben. I really.
Oh, I didn't know you got that one. That looks good.
That's badass.
That's a good one.
Nice.
And then last
Yeah.
but not least, this one came from Dr. Dom, the good doctor himself.
Ooh,
Yes.
Kansas
cool.
Speedway action.
Ooh,
Yes,
That's
Yeah,
cool.
for sure.
nice.
So I went heavy on hats. This was probably the least amount of diecast I've bought at Charlotte in years.
Same.
I only picked up. I only picked
Yeah,
up
I was-
14 164s and only one 124. The 124 is over here. Actually, I have a couple now. But yeah,
I don't know if I saw you pick those up.
He was
I
with
only
me when
got
he was on.
one, and that was the Impulse Pull the Trigger Friday night.
Okay.
Yeah, we have a
Unlike
system. where we
Mr.
could just
Mr.
back.
Doctor over here.
Oh yes.
I had an
How
impulse.
many did you end up buying?
I got 4 cars.
Okay, that's not bad. That's
I got
bad.
4 cars, and then this was my impulse buy.
That shirt
that was
was
the best
so
impulse
cool.
buy.
Yeah.
That was the best.
Best.
Impulse buy.
Yeah, and then the cars I got were I got pictures of them. Here we go. I got Byron's Watkins Glen car,
Oh, I love that.
Joey's Gateway car,
Jealous.
and his championship car, which is signed. And then I
Mom's
got
really gonna call me
Boyer's
out here, isn't she?
MIS
Yeah, your
car.
mom called you out. I love that car so much.
That
Yeah,
makes me feel
Rob,
bad.
your mom called you out.
Yeah, I know. That makes me feel bad. I'm sorry.
Mom.
Mom. I
Come on,
ended up.
Mom.
What did I get? I got this. Terry Labonte, this little hauler here, 1994, I
Oh,
believe,
yeah.
and I got the diecast to go with it. I can't hold it up right. That's okay. And then Dom got me this. Love that. And then the 2 things that I'm really excited about is these 2 diecasts that I've had in my collection for a very long time got signed this past weekend, and I basically cried. Signed by Dale Jr., signed
you got the
by
wing back on
Terry
it.
Labonte. Yeah, I super glued it, and it's all good to go. And then this hat is signed by Terry
Beautiful.
as well. So
Good.
incredible. I also got to meet Larry Mack this weekend, and I was super excited. So it was a good weekend. It was a good weekend.
So I got a deal on 2 Coke cars. So I got
Yes.
Dale
I feel like
Earnhardt's
I should move the
gosh.
screen a
Coke
little
car.
bit. Hold on. Hi, everybody.
Hot.
Hi,
There
Taylor.
you go, Rob.
Uh,
Hi.
so I got Dale Earnhardt's Coke car.
The car's so cool.
And then I got the Allison Coke car.
sexy.
It's a
I
bank,
love
but I
that.
don't care. I don't
It's
care.
okay.
It's the only time I'll buy a bank. So those were the big vines, but I stopped at the racing warehouse, not the racing warehouse. I wanted to, but I didn't.
Booth 34.
I stopped at booth 34 in like
Yeah.
that antique mall that
Mm-hmm.
it's in. I stopped there on Monday on my way back to Maryland. And so I found, so it's now cut up thanks to my dad. My dad like perfectly cut these. But I found an entire door to one of my modified clients. So one of my modified tour clients is Sadler Stanley Racing. And one of their drivers is Jonathan Cash in the 16 VA. So I found a door to the 16 VA. So this is part of the one on the 6. And I have a couple other panels or little pieces that are cut out of it. And so that was really cool. I have that entire door is back at my parents' house. I think my dad has it up in his garage. But we had a lot of fun cutting that up, and got it for a steal too. For it being the door of a car was $35, which really the only reason I was willing to buy it and cut it up, because Cup cars, Xfinity cars, those doors go for like $200-$300. So I thought it was a no-brainer. And then one more thing that I got 2 things at booth 34, but I'm only going to show one of them. So anybody who knows me knows that I love Reed Sorensen and the Target car from 2007. And so I've had the car of tomorrow for a long, long time. It's one of the first cars I got when I started collecting diecasts again. But I found at booth 34, I found Reed Sorensen's 2007 Target, and it's the Elite.
Yo.
So it's got the nice like tethered trunk.
That's beautiful.
It's got the nice tethered hood. They don't make babies like this anymore.
No,
so
they do not.
Of all the cars to find this one at booth 34, I was really happy with. I'm not gonna pull the other one out, but I did find Michael Annette's 2014 pilot car, and that car is special to me because Tommy Baldwin Racing is one of my clients. So anytime I can find one of those cars from back when he was a Cup owner, I think it's really cool.
That's so cool. My gosh, we had a good, successful merchandise weekend. I think.
Yeah, and it was, and like I feel like I didn't break the bank with it.
No.
It was just enough. It was just
That's
enough.
for October.
Yeah,
That's not me. That's not
October.
me, buddy. I'll be working football games.
The Ides of October are coming.
Yes.
I did have
The Ides of
my
October.
124 that I did get over the weekend.
Ooh.
So I found this little baby to add to the Gordon collection.
Oh.
And then we also found this really cool novelty item, Jeff Gordon Championship bobblehead.
I didn't see that.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Where'd you find that?
It was on a junk table. It was only $5.
I love it.
I found quite a few things at that booth. It had like a $1 side, and then it had a $5 side, and then they had a bunch of old diecasts for like $20.
I will say the winner of this weekend for finding deals, I think, was Adam. You found some really good stuff for like $5 or less.
I did. I found a really cool AJ Allmendinger sign for $5.
So cool.
Dale Jr. poster from 1998. Yeah.
That's gonna be my merch low for the weekend. Is Colleague and Spire.
Yeah.
The lack of merch was disappointing.
appalling.
There was no Colleague. No Colleague from what I saw. Spire was at the NASCAR
hauler.
like the NASCAR Classics hauler, and it was like the back corner. And by the time I didn't realize the Spire stuff was there until Sunday. If I had known that on Friday, I would have probably been able to get a Raja shirt to wear for the truck race. But I wore my Corey LaJoy shirt just because I was like, well, I mean, it still looks like I'm supporting Spire, so it's close enough. And then they had hats of the 7 and the 77, but they didn't have a 71 hat. So I was like, well. And again, no colleague stuff. So what are we doing?
Yeah. Get your merch out. Anywho.
Bye.
Good weekend at the 600, though it was cut short prematurely. We already talked about that. We talked about a lot regarding the 600 weekend, the greatest weekend in motorsports. Let's talk about like this week now. Let's move forward talking about more NASCAR news. The news that everyone was expecting, but it's still pretty big news, was about Stewart-Haas Racing. They announced in a joint statement by Tony Stewart and Gene Haas that they are closing all of SHR's operations after the 2024 season, which means their Cup team and their Xfinity team are going to be gone after this year. Kevin Harvick made, I think, one of my favorite quotes about this, which is true. It went from forever to forward to for sale in the matter of 6 months. It's a frustrating situation. Of course, we talked about this last week when things were getting speculated, but I know if I speak for all of us here, just saying, our hearts go out to like 300 plus employees that are looking for jobs at this point, that their futures are unsecure. It's a big deal when something like this happens. So we are taking that into mind as we talk about this. We're going to talk about this respectfully because people's lives were just altered from this. It's a big deal. So all that to say, I did want to ask you all, what's your favorite Stewart-Haas memory that you can think of?
Ooh. What a good question, Taylor.
You have to dig in the bins in your mind to think of something.
I guess I'll go first. 2009 All-Star race. Tony passes Kenseth on the high side to win it. It happened right in front of me. I was sitting in the Diamond Tower area. RIP that as well. And just being able to, see them win their first race ever, even though it was non-points. That was really, really, it was really cool to watch, really cool to see, and just the fan reaction, the amount of pop that came from the grandstands that night. Everybody was a Stewart fan that night.
Agree. Rob is
Down
gone.
goes Rob.
Excuse me, my battery died. Hold up, I got another one.
I would say I have two. I mean, just in general, Harvick's just assault on Phoenix Raceway from 2013 through 2018 was just unprecedented. How good he was there, and how it didn't matter what they did to the car and how they changed the rules packages and they threw everything at that car to make him not good there, and he was still good there. That, and then I also think about when he won the Southern 500 in 2014. I just have a vivid memory of when he went around Dale Jr. with 2 to go, coming to the white. Like, I had never seen a fast car get outright smoked by an even faster car than Harvick. I have that vivid memory of him ripping the wall down, going right past Dale Jr. like he was standing still, and just the angle of the camera where they curve around and then they shoot off the exit, kind of like Dover. His car looked so much faster than Dale Jr. And just remembering that, it's just crazy. And then I know he just mentioned in the comments Atlanta 2018 when he was lifting the third finish line because he was so far ahead. Just they're all Harvick memories, but those were the good memories for that team.
It's an entire season, but when I was fully invested in NASCAR, like the 2020 season for Harvick was so fun to watch. I mean, he and Hamlin dominated that season, but that was fun. And then being able to see him win in person at Michigan back in 2022, I was a freaking mess. I was so happy to see him finally get that win. And just after having not won for a little bit, and then following it up with Richmond was incredible. But no, they're all pretty much Harvick memories. But I mean, Harvick was a huge part of that organization, and a huge part of why the organization was successful. So, Rob will be back. We promise. Hopefully, fingers crossed. So yeah, it sucks. And obviously that leaves the question as to where do we think their 4 drivers are going to end up in 2025? What does the charter situation look like? I have a whole video out talking about that. But we do know that Front Row Motorsports did acquire a charter. There's no confirmation as to where they got it, but we can speculate it's from Stewart-Haas Racing, but they're going to turn into a 3 chartered full-time car team. in 2025. So there's something there to take into account, but otherwise we don't have any confirmation or news as to where their drivers are going, etc. But there's places to put them. It's tough right now with everything involved. But yeah, I don't know. Any comments that y'all want to make on the Stewart-Haas Racing news? Even maybe Front Row Motorsports, their news that they're expanding before we go. Someone did make a comment actually real quick talking about Rodney Childers, how he'll be highly sought out after. I hope he sticks with Berg. I think they make a decent pair. But Ronnie's one of the best crew chiefs in the business. I hope he finds a good landing spot. Yeah. Any thoughts about this?
I'd be interested to see if he even wants to keep crew chiefing.
Yeah,
that's true.
He's been in the business for
a long time,
maybe 2 decades as a crew chief.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe. And I've got a bird cussing me out right now, so that's sorry.
It's all good. It's all good.
Yeah. I could see him hanging up the headset, honestly.
Yeah.
Go out with, a little bit of dignity, instead of trying to build either a young driver up into a superstar that you might not even want to see because you just don't have the fighting anymore. And
here's a good trivia question. See if Taylor knows this. Do you know where Rodney was before he went to SHR?
Oh shoot!
Thank you.
Oh.
Do you know this, Adam?
No.
I used to know where. God.
Well, it's a team that no longer exists anymore, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
God, see, I do know that, but I don't know. Tell me.
Was it before the Earnhardt Ganassi?
Yeah, he crew chiefed the 55 at Michael Waltrip.
Dang it! I was gonna say Michael Waltrip. Okay, that's fine. Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
The Napa car,
which was a rotating seat that he crew chiefed.
Yeah.
And they got Brian Vickers a victory at New Hampshire in 2013.
Dang.
beat a Stewart-Haas car to do it, ironically.
Ironic.
He beat Newman, didn't he?
He beat Stewart.
I beat flat out Stewart.
Yeah, I'm back, but I'm tiny.
Tiny Rob.
I don't know what happened. I don't know if this battery is just garbage or what. But
what's your favorite Stewart-Haas racing memory before we talk about where the drivers could go in 2025?
That's a good question, because like I never saw, if I'm thinking back, I never saw Stewart-Haas win in person.
Wow.
Yeah, every time I saw Harvick win, it was with RCR.
That's pretty cool.
To be fair, for their formidable years where they were really, successful, I didn't go to any races. I had like 10 years where I didn't go to a race, but and I was never a big Stewart-Haas fan. Like, there were drivers I would root for, but I think about, honestly, there's a couple just like, just universally memorable ones. Tony Stewart's 2011 championship. I was a Carl fan, so that kind of hurt.
Dang, that sucks.
but it's a memory I have of Stewart-Haas nevertheless. I think Harvick's championship was really cool for him to go in there his first year and just, do it. Honestly, I think if I'm collecting it together, I think just watching Kevin Harvick at Stewart-Haas is a great memory, and just watching just a difference in behavior, difference in driving, and a difference in success. And I think that's really cool to see. Also, going back, and you guys know I've been doing this. Maybe some people in the chat know I've been doing this, but I've been going back and doing the cup points if they use the F1 point system. And in doing that, Harvick wouldn't have won the 2014 championship. He would have won 2015, 2016, 2018, and 2020.
Yeah.
So he'd be a 4-time champion even without the 2014 championship. Yep. So I guess just to sum it up, my favorite Stewart-Haas memory was just watching Kevin Harvick drive and watching myself become a Kevin Harvick fan.
Yeah. I think that was the big thing for me is when I first joined the sport. I mean, I was obviously a fan of Chase Elliott and Ryan Blaney. I'm still a big fan of Ryan Blaney, but I was always watching the veterans because they let me know the lay of the land of the sport. Who's good, who's not, like how good is good in the sport. And Kevin Harvick was one of those drivers I was instantly drawn to, along with Brad Keselowski and Kurt Busch. And obviously you can tell I'm a Kevin Harvick fan by the die cast and the cooler in the background over there. But no, I hate to see SHR go. I hope everybody is able to find some job security for 2025. But yeah, it's always good to like focus on those memories and things. The other part of this is, speculating where are the drivers going to go. I know there's heavy rumors that maybe Briscoe goes to the 21 car. Front Row Motorsports at this point has 2 empty seats. 1 or 2 of the Stewart-Haas drivers could go there potentially. So there's places for them to move around to. I know there's a little less confidence in Ryan Preece and if he stays in Cup or not, where there's no really big rumor that I've heard about Josh Berry and where he goes. Obviously, Cole Custer and Riley Herbst have to figure out where they're going now that they don't have an Xfinity Series program in 2025. So there's a lot of unknowns, a lot of speculation that we can have. Obviously, though, as we hear news about where the drivers are going to go, etc., whatever the situation is, we'll let you know at tobychristie.com. But that is the SHR news from our Motorsports news. Some smaller pieces of news that I think are still notable before we get to our preview of Gateway is Clem Boyer is going to race in the number 7 truck at Nashville. That's fun. I thought that was fun. I don't know what y'all think about that, but
Have they released the sponsor yet?
I don't think they have.
It better be Jack Daniels.
If it's not, we riot.
What they want. They want to see that 07 Jack Daniels car back on the track.
Yeah.
You know what?
Darlington, though, they ain't gonna do that.
You know what they could do? It could be a Busch truck because
God,
the track house and Spire connection.
Could be.
I would buy that truck so fast. I don't even care.
Because they have a relationship with Clint.
Does he have a win at Nashville in anything? I know not Cup, but
I think he has one in the Busch Series.
That tracks, actually. Wait for it. But while you're looking at that, Dewey makes a good point that Briscoe and Herbst shouldn't have trouble with funding, especially Riley Herbst with his major backing from Monster Energy, which could align him with a different team easily. So,
heck, he could be the guy who goes to the front row.
His first career Busch Series win was at Nashville.
That tracks.
In 2005.
The AC Delco car.
AC Delco number 5, and then no truck wins at Nashville.
Beautiful. So we'll see how he does. He's had some time behind the wheel, especially with SRX last season. So I don't know. This will be a fun little endeavor for him. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's cool that we had Harvick in the car in Cup with Larson during the All-Star race, filling in the number 5. Yeah. Now we're gonna see what Clem Boyer can do. It'll be fun. I don't expect him to win or anything. I think it'll be cool.
So. We didn't expect domination is all that will be accepted.
we didn't expect Greg Biffle to win either.
Yeah.
I mean, the 7 truck it's really good equipment. It's race winning equipment. So
Yep. Put the right driver in there, you can get a win.
Kyle Busch can dominate it. Boyer should be able to win in it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's the expectation then. So and then Parker Retzlaff, by the way, he's going to make his Cup Series debut for the Daytona race that we have coming up later this summer. With Beard Motorsports. And we know that equipment at super speedways can be competitive. Anthony Alfredo, for example, top 10 at Talladega earlier this year, and that equipment was able to qualify his way into the Daytona 500. It's decent equipment. It's been really fun watching Parker's career. He's been very impressive this season with his equipment with Jordan Anderson. I've been very impressed by that whole team, that whole organization in Xfinity. So I'm excited to see what he can do. It's a unique opportunity. Hope he does well. I really do.
Yeah.
So
I think it's smart to put him in the car when Alfredo is looking like he's going to be competing for that last spot in the Xfinity playoffs. I don't know if that's the reasoning.
They've done so well,
but I think it's it's smart for him to shift his focus over to the big goal.
Yeah. Man, So much exciting stuff coming up. Like super cool, super fun. Isn't when does NBC's coverage start for this year?
Iowa.
Iowa? Okay.
Oh,
All right.
I thought it was Chicago.
Get ready for it. It'll be fun.
Get ready, Dom.
Again.
Yeah.
Yeah, get ready.
Corn.
Yeah.
Corn.
There's a lot of corn there.
Corn.
Who would have thought at the beginning of the year that Dom and I would both be going to Iowa this year?
Isn't that wild?
It's the land that needs to be more explored. That's all.
Facts.
So we're gonna go take a look. We'll have a peek, then we'll come back.
Yeah. See what there's to see.
We'll be right back.
Yeah, I'm going to Iowa for that week, and then the very next week I'm home for 3 days, and then I go to Watkins Glen for IMSA.
He's coming up to my neck of the woods
for some 6 hours of sports car racing. Can't wait.
Dang. Oh yeah, Ben and I, not this weekend, but next weekend, will be at Mid Ohio for, I think, the Michelin Pilot Challenge, IMSA. So we're excited about that. So that'll be cool.
There's a good show
coming up. Yeah.
I don't know.
We lean on each other a lot.
What, Adam?
I don't know when my next race is gonna be.
That's okay.
Heck,
my next
I'm
race is up
probably
in
gonna
the
end up
air.
at the dirt track down in Lancaster again.
My next race is Saturday.
Nice.
The
All I
mods
know
at Seekonk.
is that I'll be at Mid Ohio this summer. Then after that, the goal is to hopefully be able to be at Richmond in August, and then maybe Martinsville, and do all the races around Charlotte the rest of the year. If not, that's fine. That's the hope, though. That's it with NASCAR news. Of course, for more news and stories and everything like that that you want to hear us talk about this week, of course, it'll be all over our social media pages. We can get more in depth with those stories. But now it's time to preview Gateway with Dom's projected top 10. I'm sure you're going to have to explain again, because I know there's going to be questions with this one, especially with who's at the top of this list. Explain how you got to where you got with this list.
Well, listen, I've summed it up to this. I work very hard to be wrong. So
oh my God.
This one is easy because it is only one race a year at Gateway, and we've only gone there twice. So this is literally a culmination of everybody's stats at Gateway, all ranked against each other. And then I take the averages of those ranks. So the last 2 Gateway races have been all Kyle Busch. So he has pole position and a win last year, finished second in 2022. He has 187 laps led out of 488 total. He's led the most laps both years, has completed all the laps, and has no DNFs. I mean, what more do you want from the guy? Has an average finish of 1.5. So he is the heavy statistical favorite to win Sunday at Gateway. This year would argue otherwise, the way he's been driving, but I'm going based off the numbers here, kids. Make fun of me all you want. The numbers do lie, apparently. Ryan Blaney, the defending champion, is second on the board. He has an average start of 3.5. He's never won pole, but he has an average start of 3.5 as someone explodes their exhaust down the street. That is the leader amongst everyone in the field, 3.5. His finishes are 4th and 6th, so hasn't finished outside the top 10. Very, very good finishes. And he's got 95 laps led. So that's a lot of positive momentum for Blaney. One thing I should also clarify, too, the entire top 9 here have completed all the laps, and the entire top 10 has never DNF'd. Denny Hamlin, we all remember 2022, the birth of the rivalry between him and Chastain.
Oh, yes.
He finished several laps down in that race. I think he only completed So of 488 possible laps to be completed, Hamlin has completed 477. So not too far off, but again, that hurt him in terms of the overall rankings. Joey Logano won the inaugural race in 2022 en route to his second NASCAR Cup. He finished 3rd last year. So average finish of, what would that be, 2nd? So that's pretty good for 2 starts at Gateway, I would argue. And then matches his car number, 22 laps led in Gateway. Very good numbers there for Joey. I just think that overall average start for Blaney, and then with more laps led than Joey, that's what gave him the nod over him in the rankings. Martin Truex Jr. has finishes of 6th and 5th and 42 laps led. Here's a good one. Austin Cindric. My goodness, does he need to have a good weekend in that number 2 Team Penske Ford Mustang Dark Horse. Average start of 6th. That is where his heavy ranking comes from. He has finishes of 11th and 13th, so an average finish of 12th. Definitely not as good as his average start. But he also has 26 laps led. So this is overall just a good track for Team Penske. We saw what they did at North Wilkesboro with Joey Logano. Maybe their short track package is coming around. Adam, I will see you after class.
Adam?
Thank you.
Anyways, Christopher Bell is 6th, average start of 10th, average finish of 10th. I would call that consistency. And then his finishes are 9th and 11th. William Byron has finishes of 19th and 8th, but he does have 30 laps led, so that's what helps him out. Ross Chastain has an average start of 9th, but an average finish of 15th, so a little bit more to be asked for during the race. He has finishes of 8th and 22nd, so he's got a top 10 in there in his wrecking ball year, 2022, but we'll see if he can turn it into a dominant performance and maybe get a win. Kyle Larson, 9th, kind of surprising for a guy who's part-time in the NASCAR Cup Series. Average finish of 8th. I'm sorry.
I'll see you after class.
I'm sorry. Average finish of 8th. His finishes are 12th and 4th, and 5 laps led. So, again, he drives for Hendrick Motorsports. Expect him to be a contender on Sunday. And then Denny, his average start is 4.5, but he did finish 2nd last year, but 2022 he finished 34th. And again, he does not have every lap completed, 477 laps completed. Other notes I have outside the top 10, Chase Briscoe is listed 14th. He won pole position in 2022. Tyler Reddick has an average start of 6.5, which is very good, but he has a DNF, and that is what pushed him way down the list. And Josh Berry, Daniel Hemrick, and John Hunter Nemechek are making their first Cup starts at Gateway this weekend.
I think it's also worth noting how good Carson Hocevar was there in his first start last year.
The finish does not promote
the
performance he did. He actually had in that race. Yeah, so he's actually out of 31 possible, he's 30th, and that's just because of his finish in that race. But definitely had a great showing. Looking through other notables, just outside the top 10, 11th through 15th is Daniel Suarez, Michael McDowell, Eric Jones, Chase Briscoe, and Harrison Burton, 15th.
Interesting.
Chase Elliott, in only one start, is 22nd on the board with an average start of 16th, average finish of 21st, and he has no laps led, and he did complete every lap in that race.
Sweet. And then, of course, this weekend, Truck is at Gateway as well, and then Xfinity is at Portland. So it'll be – Portland is such a fun track. I'm excited about that. Yeah, Sam Mayer won that race last year. It was a crazy into that race. And then last year for the Truck Series, I believe Christian Eckes won that one. So keep your eye on those drivers as they are in contention this weekend yet again. But pretty
Wait, did they run a Portland last year?
No. Yeah. They're at Gateway.
Oh, Gateway. Oh, sorry.
Trucks for Gateway. Only ones were
ARCA was Portland.
ARCA and Xfinity.
Yeah. Huh.
Love that track, though.
Yeah,
God, it's a great track.
Yeah, you're right.
Why did I think Xfinity ran at Portland last year?
Xfinity did.
Oh, I thought you were telling me they didn't.
No,
Pardon?
The trucks did not.
So, yeah, the trucks did not. Trucks were at Gateway last year.
I think we all had a brain fart.
Yeah, was that the race that Parker Kligerman was going to win?
Yes, and then he got toasted.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now it's all coming back.
The last time the trucks ran at Portland, I believe, was 2000.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, when they went back to Portland, it was just Xfinity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would kill a truck team's budget to go to Portland, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It's
And then
killing
Landon-
Xfinity teams' budgets as we speak.
Cole Custer raced in the ARCA race at Portland last year and almost won it, but then Landon Lewis won instead. It was a really fun battle to the end there, so just be on the lookout. Should be a good weekend of racing, though, regardless of Portland or...
Just to respond to a person in the comments, I've always got the radar on. Yes, I tried to be a meteorologist.
He really does.
Little do you know.
He really kept us updated with stuff.
He really did.
We're always in the clear at ATYL.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, if you're in Texas right now, I wouldn't want to be you right now.
Nope.
God, yeah.
Got
Lots
3
of-
tornado warnings up in the state of Texas right now.
Lots of
Stay
majors
safe,
down
everyone.
there.
Yes, I'm always watching the radar, so I'm kind of terrified that you know me that well.
Oh, my God.
I'm
Well-
just good at being wrong. I'm sorry.
You put effort into it, though, and that's what counts.
But hey, I'm not wrong about this outfit, though, because Emma
Hey,
Britt
the outfit's
is-
great. Shout out to Emma Britt. We
is-
love you.
Yeah, Emma.
is the
let's
woman.
go.
Yeah.
She's
It is
the
great.
man.
The GOAT.
Yeah. We need to have her
Stop
back
crunching the
on
numbers.
the show.
He's watching the weather. I mean,
Honestly, you're not wrong. You're
I'll
not
put
wrong.
that on a T-shirt.
Honestly, facts, so. Facts. Save that, bookmark it, folks. But that is it for this live show above the yellow line on a Thursday night. Appreciate you all for joining us. As always, to keep up with us, all NASCAR news, etc., make sure to go to tobychristie.com. We'll keep you up to date all weekend long with stories from the track and beyond. He's doing it again with the spider poster. Also, make sure abovetheyellowline.com. We might not mention spiders on our website, but we do care about them. We do feel like they are our friends. They help the environment. So though we might not mention them on our website, we do talk about ourselves on the website. We have ATYL hats for sale. It helps support us when we see y'all wearing these at the track. So make sure to go to abovetheyellowline.com. Also check out more of our creative content that we might not show on the show. But yeah, and also, of course, our social media handles are all on the screen for you in the description below, etc. But y'all, thanks so much for watching this episode of the ATYL live show. We'll be back at it with a race recap coming to you Sunday evening. But until next time, from myself, Dom, Rob, and Adam,